*515# to subscribe.
Hello and welcome. This is the Midday News. Prime Minister James Marape arrived in Honiara, Solomon Islands this morning to attend the Honiara Summit 2025, which is being hosted from February the 24th to the 27th, 2025 at the Honiara National Sports Stadium. Marape was met on arrival by Solomon Islands Minister for Foreign Affairs and Trade Peter Channel and senior Solomon Islands government officials. Minister for Fisheries and Marine Resources Tvwan was on hand to receive the Prime Minister with Deputy Secretary Policy of the Department of Prime Minister and NEC Frank Icy. Minister Wong has been on the ground for the Honiara Summit talks on making wise use of marine resources, including tuna fish from the region. The theme of the Honiara Summit is Yumi Together, delivering on SDG 14.4, achieving sustainable fisheries. Senior staff from the National Capital District Provincial Health Authority convened for its second meeting to review the draft of the 2025-2030 Strategic Health Service Plan on Friday, the 21st February 2025. Key officials gathered at the Port Moresby Archdiocese to further refine the 5-year strategic plan, which will guide the development and delivery of health services in Port Moresby over the next 5 years. NCDPHA Acting CEO Dr. Robin Oge commended the participants for their efforts in compiling this critical document. He highlighted the importance of the planning process in shaping the future of health services in the district and acknowledge the collective effort involved in producing the plan. Kumul Petroleum Holdings has started seismic data collection in Gulf Province, marking a historic milestone in PNG's petroleum sector. KPHL's contractor Oil Min Holdings has spent months preparing, engaging landowners, constructing camps, and drilling for explosive charges. Now, seismic data is being collected over 80 kilometers in the Barikewa and Kimu fields. The operation, supported by helicopters, employs over 300 local workers and aims to refine estimates of PNG's gas reserves. KPHL says the data will help determine the economic viability of developing these resources. Meanwhile, Oil Min and KPHL are also involved in small-scale community development in the area. KPHL says this work could unlock previously stranded gas fields, strengthening PNG's energy sector and economy. To overseas news, a Belgian shepherd who went from pound puppy to decorated combat veteran has been honored with a new award for distinguished military service. Mannix served 6 years in the Australian Defence Force, including tours in the Middle East. His handlers and carers hoping the national recognition will raise awareness of the limited support military dogs receive when they retire.
Man's best friend.
He was in the Middle East and he was working with the Australian training teams and he supported multiple coalition forces.
Belgian Malinois Mannix exact duties as a combat assault dog with the Special Operations 2nd Commando Regiment remain classified, as does his handler's identity. But those in the know believed his 6 years of service deserved a new decoration, the Australian Animal Distinguished Service Award. The recognition even more remarkable given Mannix's humble beginnings.
Mannix started his life in the pound and he was destined for the Royal Australian Air Force. And he then was sold to the Australian Defence Force for $8.
Today's ceremony naming Manic as the award's 2024 recipient, and retired military dog and cancer survivor Aslan the honoree for 2025, while eligibility could soon extend to all combat creatures great and small. In civilian retirement, Manic is a familiar furry face at Anzac Day commemorations and two up.
He is the most incredibly cuddly and affectionate dog that I've ever seen. You would never know that he was on the battlefield.
Both dogs enjoy honorary RSL membership in Sydney, helping to cover ongoing veterinarian and care costs, but not all service dogs are so lucky. So Manic and Aslan are raising awareness of the limited support military working dogs receive when they retire.
The Australian Defence Force's duty of care ends when the dog retires, so the costs associated with their ongoing care sits with the family that takes them in.
Now that's a good boy.
The state government has ruled out changing the age of criminal responsibility, meaning children as young as 10 will still be able to be charged with a criminal offence. The opposition has pushed against the move, saying youth crime has been on the rise.
Teenage brawl that sent a shopping centre into lockdown. A group of teens trashing a supermarket. The opposition says it has data that shows youth crime is on the rise in South Australia.
Last year, the youth courts being inundated with nearly 6,000 cases, which is nearly a 50% increase since 2021.
Freedom of Information documents from the youth court show there were almost 4,700 matters lodged in 2019-20, growing to almost 5,800 last financial year. Offences range from theft and assault to the most common offence, breach of bail.
We're seeing a return of crime rates back towards where they were before COVID. That's obviously meaning that we're having to find new ways that we can get more resources out onto the front line.
SA Police have established a new Youth and Street Gangs Task Force, which merges other operations targeting gangs and repeat offenders. But the Police Commissioner told a parliamentary committee efforts to tackle youth crime have been working.
I would argue that they are effective, and whilst we do see incidents of criminal activity from both groups of persons of interest, I would not say it is worse than it has ever been.
Under current laws, children as young as 10 can be charged with a crime and be sentenced to youth detention. There's been a push from child and legal advocates to raise that age to 14. And while the government's own website says there's evidence to support doing it, today the Police Minister ruled it out.
It's not something that's been actively considered by the state government. We are focused on taking those measures which are important to continue protecting the community.
Mr Mulligan says while this government won't make the change, it may be something a future government considers.
Back home in sports, PNG Rugby Football League CEO Stanley Hondina has been reappointed to the position for another 3 years again. This announcement was made yesterday by Papua New Guinea Rugby Football League Chairman Sandy Saka. The reappointment of Stanley Hondina as CEO of PNG RFL came into effect on the 17th of February 2025 after the PNG RFL board's review and agreement to a term of 3 years. This was a show of confidence in Hondina's leadership. The PNG RFL chairman Sandy Saka, when making the announcement, said the PNG RFL under Hondina's leadership has made some significant achievement in the last 3 years. The PNG RFL has witnessed successful PNG NRL bid, revival of participation in sports, and affiliation since COVID-19, amongst others. Hondina previously held the role of PNG National Rugby League Competition Manager from 2017 to 2020. And that ends the news update. Do join us at 6 tonight for the main bulletin.